5 tricks that you can implement right now for an algae-free aquarium in 5 days. If you're currently having algae problems, chances are that at least one of the things that I'm going to mention in this video is what's causing it. I'll go over 5 tricks that are very simple to implement, and all of them have the potential to completely change the way your aquarium looks within 5 days. Let's get right to it. Number 1. Adjust carbonate hardness. Why specifically carbonate hardness? Because carbonate hardness, KH, functions as a pH buffer. It helps stabilize pH and prevents fluctuations. At any given point, there could be elements in your aquarium that affect the pH. Let's say you have an Iwagumi style aquascape. Depending on the rocks that you use, they might increase the water's pH. Seiyu stones and pagoda stones can do that. If you have a nature style aquarium with driftwood, over time that wood will lower the pH. That also applies to CO2. It makes water more acidic, so it lowers pH. If you have a KH lower than 1 point, then your tank's pH will be unprotected, and it could drop way too fast. How could that be causing your algae problems? When pH drops too much, aquatic plants will start to melt. As they decay, they release organic matter and nutrients into the water. This increases levels of nitrogen compounds like ammonia, which can fuel algae growth. Additionally, decaying plants stop absorbing nutrients such as nitrates and phosphates, leaving more of these nutrients in the water, which algae can exploit. Adjusting carbonate hardness is not difficult. Find a brand that you like that sells aquarium salts and add these salts to your tank after every water change. Number 2. Decrease temperature. Higher temperatures increase metabolism, which means that plants are gonna grow faster, but also algae is gonna grow faster as well. If plants struggle to adapt to the higher temperatures, algae will take advantage and outcompete them. Additionally, warmer water can reduce dissolved oxygen levels, which can stress your plants while favoring algae, which thrive in lower oxygen conditions. High temperatures can also affect CO2 levels in your aquarium. In warmer water, CO2 depletes faster. Aquatic plants won't get the nutrition they need, they won't grow healthy, and all this is perfect for algae because they don't need much to grow. What I'm trying to say is high temperatures are the main ingredient for an algae bloom. The ideal temperature for a planted aquarium is from 72 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. You could go up to 75 or 76 and still be fine, but I wouldn't recommend anything higher than that. Guys, this is one of the things that I've been fighting the most. I like keeping bettas and rams, but they need high temperatures, so I'm constantly fighting algae. If the water temperature in your tank is anything higher than 77 degrees, bring it down to 74, and I can almost guarantee that you'll see a huge difference in a few days. If you are enjoying the content up to this point, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks to help you on your aquarium journey. Number 3. Increase water flow. This is so ridiculously important. You could do everything else right, but if you don't have proper water flow, it's almost impossible to keep an algae-free aquarium. Let me just mention a couple of things that will happen. First, nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus will accumulate in certain areas of the tank, creating algae hotspots. Then you have stagnant zones, which are parts of the aquarium that don't get any water flow. Leftover food, fish waste, and other organic materials will settle on these zones, becoming ideal breeding grounds for algae. You'll also get uneven CO2 distribution. More than anything else, plants need CO2. Well, of course, other than lighting. But CO2 is the nutrient that plants need the most. And if it's not distributed evenly across the tank, they will suffer. And by this point, you know that if plants are not growing properly, algae will take advantage of it. If you want to increase water flow and you don't have a canister filter, you can either get a small pump that you can place inside the aquarium or a surface skimmer, which in addition to creating good water flow, it will clean the surface. Number 4, get the right algae eaters. If you don't have any algae eaters in your aquarium right now, that's the problem. Every algae-free aquarium has a good algae eating crew. But not all algae eaters eat the same kind of algae. For example, Amano shrimps, which are one of the best algae eaters in this hobby, will not eat green spot algae or green dust algae. They prefer long thread algae types, like green beard or green fuzz. And even when you have the right type, you also have to consider the kind of surface. Take green fuzz as an example. It grows on your plants, hardscape, and even in the aquarium glass. Amano shrimps love it. They'll eat it from the plants, they'll eat it from the hardscape, but they will not touch it if it's on the glass. For that, you'll need something like Plecos if you have a big tank, or Otocinclus if your aquarium is small. In my opinion, the ones that make the biggest difference in the shortest amount of time are horned nidite snails. Introduce enough of these guys in an aquarium that's being overtaken by algae, and in a matter of days, they'll clean it up completely. Number 5, keep a good filtration system. Can you have an algae-free, healthy aquarium without a filter? Yes. However, if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be restrained to a set of conditions. An aquarium that has no filter needs a layer of dirt, a layer of sand on top of it, and lots of plants, especially stem plants, because the whole filtration cycle is happening inside the aquarium. The dirt and sand serves as filter media, and the plants absorb the chemicals released by your fish's waste. So when I talk about restraints, I mean forget about diorama styles or Iwagumi styles. Anything other than a heavily planted tank is out of the question. You'll be restricted to a Dutch style or maybe a nature style, depending on the kind of rocks you're going to use. Sponge filters are also an option. They keep the water free of ammonia and produce oxygen for your fish. Personally, I find 3 major issues with sponge filters. First, all the debris stays inside your tank on the sponge filter. Secondly, it takes up space that could be used for your hardscape. And lastly, it disturbs the water surface, which makes having a CO2 injection system worthless. That's why I prefer canister filters. They keep the water cleaner than any other filter, and they could drastically improve your algae problems. There are many factors to consider when dealing with algae, but the 5 tricks that I mentioned in this video are probably the most important. Implement these changes and see how your aquarium develops. If you're still having algae issues after that, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to help you out.